Happy Tuesday, Move Me Poetry community. Today's lesson is a little bit different. It's something I do in my classroom, so I changed it up for this environment. So hopefully it transfers well. You will need some paper and pencil. Yes, you're going to kind of write your own poem at the end, but I got a little bonus challenge for you. But we are going to deal with an element of poetry that gets kind of taken for granted and not paid attention to. Talking about repetition. Okay? Now, in poetry, repetition is one of the foundational aspects for poetry. Now, there are obviously like blank verse and free verse, and everybody kind of has their own style. I understand that. But honestly, repetition in poetry happens all the time, and we don't really think about it. A rhyme scheme, if you choose to use a rhyme scheme, you are actually doing repetition. You are creating sounds at the end, and you got to really choose really good words, or else, the rhyme scheme gets too difficult to do or kind of sounds really chunky. If you use meter or just simple syllable count, that's a use of repetition. That creates a rhythm. Okay? I love, right now, I don't know why, refrains and me are just kicking it. I use them in my own style or use a lot of the poetic forms that ask for them. And just like in a song or something, like the chorus, it's repeated. Okay, and so that is a powerful way that we use repetition in poetry. Other literary elements like motifs or alliterations or even personification. Okay, because if you decide to personify something, then that human connection to that object is repeated or holds true throughout the poem. Okay, sometimes we use a word over and over again to a degree. And like I said, the idea of repetition is important in all kinds of ways for poetry. And we're going to try to delve into that a little bit with a small exercise and write a poem with some emphasis there. So our objectives today is we're going to complete a writing exercise. All right, and you're going to need pencil and paper to do this. No, I'm not, I don't know if you actually do it or not, but research shows that pencil and paper is still a very powerful thing. And in this case, this activity and this lesson asks you to do that. So we're not worried of you getting a poem, out, 2 minutes after this video. All right, and you'll understand it might take a little time with that. But if you would, give it a try. Step out of your comfort zone if you don't use pencil and paper much. We're going to be using what I term a working poem. So you're actually going to write 2 poems today. One of them, though, is just to deal with the idea of repeating, and it's meant for you to go through the exercise and have your brain turned on and really think about and reflect on how repetition affected the poem. And it's just a working poem in that regard. We are not going to ask to see that. It's just kind of part of the exercise. Okay, and then we're going to try to understand and hopefully appreciate how repeating actually creates meaning or reinforces a theme or highlights a idea more. Okay, and then at the end, we're going to have some new poems, and always excited to see what you guys create. Okay, so here we go. Pencil and paper ready. Okay, and you can hit pause at any time during this lesson to do this or to think about, especially here as we get this second part. Now, what I want you to do is on that paper, come up with a good, solid sentence, has a solid subject, and it can be I. You see I have my example already up. Want a strong kind of verb, and then want some description, prepositions, whatever. But I don't want a sentence, the cat meowed. All right, not good enough. You need at least kind of like 5 or more, but do not write, a 3-paragraph length sentence. That's too much. Okay, but subject, verb, description. So my example for you, and I did this earlier, so you don't have to watch me write on pencil and paper and think. is I use the sentence, I get tired running hills. Okay, a little bit of my coach coming out. I coach track and I coach football. Okay, and we run hills and stuff like that. So that's my example sentence. Okay, then what you're going to do here, all right, we're going to kind of force poetry onto this sentence, all right? So using only the words in that sentence, you're going to write a poem. And you're going to write this poem by repeating words and phrases that are a part of that sentence. Okay, now you can, but I don't really want you to follow the sentence order of the words. I just want you to see that as a basket of options, those words. Okay, we really don't need it to be lengthy. My suggestion is about 8 to 12 lines, and a line can just be one word. Punctuation, I really wouldn't worry about either right now because we're doing mental work in this case. It's okay to have different drafts. In fact, it's kind of fun to do that. But if your day is kind of busy and you just want to do one with the exercise, that's fine. But you might find that if you got time, it's interesting to come up with a couple of these working poems. And again, remember, this is a working poem. All right, so take your time with this. This is where you can hit pause and really relax that editor in your head. Okay, this is not going out, for a push cart prize or anything like that. This is just a working poem. Okay, so it's okay to hit pause at this moment. You can continue on to throughout the whole lesson too. But here is my example for the working poem prompt. Okay, now if you remember, I get tired running hills. That was my sentence. So this poem goes, hills. I get hills. Tired. I get tired of running hills. I get hills. Tired hills. Okay, so if you've unhit pause and you're back and you've got some working poems and things like that, we're not quite done yet. We're going to kind of appreciate that for a second, and you're going to look at your poems. You're going to take a moment, and then you're going to start jotting down some thoughts. You're going to about your thinking, okay? And if you happen to get a couple of different working poems, yes, I would like you to jot these notes down and reflections next to all of them. If you only have one, that's cool. You could do this in simple notes or write out in paragraphs. That's up to you. How you work with your mental processes is up to you. But look at and put yourself in the reader's position here. So next to your work, act as if you're the reader and jot down the themes or ideas and stuff that you or a reader would get through this poem. My sentence is kind of track coach oriented and something we all kind of get. The poem it just kind of feels like it's a life poem. It's about the hurdles of every day or the big things that happen, okay? And as you jot that down, part of that process is just to take you out of your role and have you analyze what you read from the reader's perspective and appreciate, because you may not have a clear, good poem because this is a working poem. Again, relax your editor. And so it's the vibe, it's the feel. What kind of came out of this? All right? And in doing that, we want to reflect and see how the way you used just these 5 to 12 words, whatever your sentence is, how the meaning of that sentence and how we repeated some phrases and repeated some words and things we kind of forced artistic expression into that sentence, then hence into that poem because of the repeating. And it's just to bring this fundamental idea of poetry to the front of our brains and our thinking and as we write. Okay? All right, so then, time for you with a little bit of this new appreciation, kind of seeing the power of it on paper. You created something with just the emphasis of repeating. It's time to write a new poem. All right, so one, you can write in your own style. You could just write your own poem and have some type of repeating element that catches your interest at the time. Or, we have lots of lessons. There are so many poetic forms, and you can choose a different form that uses a very strict rhyme scheme. Even haikus have a syllable count, or at least the way that we kind of write haikus, like in elementary school and stuff like that, the 5-7-5 rule. That's repeating. That's a rhythm based. Or if you're like me right now, just hitting the refrain. You come up with a cool line or sentence that you really like to use over and over again. You could do that yourself in your own style, or get a form that has a refrain. Now, I do have a bonus challenge, though, for those who like to try to take these lessons and try to do that bonus one, is to go and take your working poem and expand it. Keep the backbone of it, though. But now you add more words. You really latch on to the theme that you saw in your working poem that you jotted down, and really try to bring that forward by changing it. Okay? Now, you can actually use your sentence as an inspiration too, but this bonus challenge will look kind of like this. Okay? So this is my poem, but I'm using the heart of my working poem, and I've added some things to try to bring up that theme about life. So it reads, hills. Always, I get hills. So tired. I get so tired of running hills on the horizon. Always, I see hills. So tired of hills, so tired of running, tired hills. Okay, yes, if you caught it, I did the repeating thing some more in this one, just to kind of try to emphasize how the use of repetition is a powerful tool if done well. Okay, and again, it's a working poem in the middle of this. Just relax the editor for that, just to appreciate and bring forward and think about how the repetition of rhyme, repetition of sound, alliteration, or refrains, or even just sometimes simple words can create a tone, enhance themes, and create a piece of poetic art. I really do hope that this lesson, again, I would be walking around my classroom, answering questions, helping, and we have some other things we do in the classroom with visuals and stuff. So repetition is our lesson for today, and I'm excited to see what you guys write and share on the Twitter thread.